Hello.
Hi,
Hello.
guys. Hi.
Hi, hi.
So
Well, I'm
we
very
have,
excited today to be looking at this image of yours, Hermis. Just a fantastic image. I'm really looking forward to the discussion.
Thank you.
Uh,
Thank you, PT.
and
I
this is
think,
very special. I think, Hermi, if you can recollect how many awards you won for this particular image, we will be starting this conversation with
I think almost 10 plus.
10 plus.
Yeah.
Look how proud he is. So we all would like to know what was your inspiration, what was your process, and how did it
show us
go?
the
I will.
image.
I will. I will.
Come on,
In
show
fact,
everyone the image.
yeah, this whole conversation is going to be focusing about backlit, the techniques, the art, and the story creation. So what's
Yeah.
our process for each of us? We're starting with our award-winning photographer Hermis Haridas and his unique picture
Don't don't do this.
and his unique picture. I mean, if that picture should
Before
be, yeah.
before pulling me so much, let's talk about something else.
No, it's a story. It's a fact, right? If one particular image should draw all this attention from across the world on all the competition, that image should be that unique. Definitely, I think I was the first person to give you that tip that this is absolutely phenomenal, and you should send this for
Yes.
competitions.
Yes, I
So
agree that.
I'm still waiting for the image. We are only talking, so if you can
No,
share the
before
image.
showing that image, we have a lot of other images today
No,
as
no.
well.
I think we will start with your image, your conversation, and then
Definitely,
we
definitely,
proceed with that. Yeah.
definitely.
Once
Uh,
again, the points are going to be Hermes' journey to this particular image, his process, his thought process, and what was the luck play of luck factor. A lot of things involved in this particular image. You can always say that every photographer's journey, there will be one particular moment which changed their whole career, whole perspective, everything. I think this is definitely Hermes milestone image, if I'm not wrong.
yes, I agree. Let me share this within our group so that people know that we are having a conversation here.
Conversation. Yeah, before that, if you can share the image, otherwise I'm just talking, and nobody,
Everybody have seen the image. Please wait.
people whom we know must have seen it, but beyond that, there is always a lot of people whom we don't know.
So, the question for you, Nisha,
Yeah,
have you had an image in your career that has been transformative?
I think when I started with my photography in that point of time, there was a fluke image. I definitely use the word fluke because it was an accidental image. Brahmini kite getting hold of a snake, and because it was a juvenile, the snake managed to escape from the claws, and the snake's head was pointing towards up, and the kite was looking down, everything in on air. So that was definitely one of my key image at that point of time. Back to our spotlight, Hermi.
So today we are mainly talking about the uh, art of backlight photography,
Hmm.
and yeah, coincidentally, my image happened to be
The key image.
backlight image as well. So yes, I'm very happy to get that image. So, let me share the presentation. I think a lot of people have joined. Angad has joined. Hi Angad. Let me share this screen first.
Yep, been waiting since 10 minutes now. Yeah.
Yeah, so I hope you guys can see.
Yep.
So today's session is about backlight photography.
Hmm.
A lot of people have requested us to give an insight about the backlight photography, what techniques we use, how to capture a good backlight photography.
Hmm.
and we have two masters sitting here. Nisha is the and PT,
No, and you.
both.
And the 10 plus award winner is sitting with us. We'll start with you. Yes.
Yeah. So before we going to the images, let's have a small background about what is backlight photography.
Mm-hmm.
Very simply speaking, it is a technique where the main light source is behind your key subject,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, this is the thing that you always have to keep in mind when we talk about backlight photography. The
Yep.
source of light has to be behind your subject.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's mainly used to emphasize the shape of your subject or enhance the textures and create a dynamic contrast between the light and shadows.
Yep.
That's all about the backlight photography.
Mm-hmm.
And we say, like, once you click a decent backlight photography, it can add depth, mood, and sense of a mystery to your image. So, as you said, first I'm showing my image.
Thank you.
Yeah. Uh, this image was captured, as everybody knows, that this image was captured in Dubai, one of my favorite place called Al Qudra Lakes,
Mm-hmm.
and it was captured during one of my morning sessions, early
Oh.
morning sessions. Yes, early morning sessions in Al Qudra. Uh, Nikon had given me their camera Z8 for testing,
Mm-hmm.
and I went with that camera along with one of my friend to test this. Uh, then I found this hoopoe. Hoopoe was always busy eating something from the ground,
Mm-hmm.
picking up something, going to a tree branch and sitting there eating, again coming to the ground. So this habit behavior was keep on happening,
Mm-hmm.
and I noticed the behavior every time it creates the same behavior.
Mm-hmm.
So we were waiting that day. I got some excellent shots of uh, the hoopoe in flight and everything with beautiful light.
Mm-hmm.
uh, I'm not showing here those images because it's not nothing related to backlight. It was a
Okay.
friend lit image. And then the next day we came very early in the morning, and we started shooting.
Mm-hmm.
And it was early morning again, very
Mm-hmm.
early in the morning, and the sun was just rising,
Mm-hmm.
and we happened to get some backlight images as well.
Mm-hmm.
With We were trying to get it with the sun, so which we did not get. Like, I did not get with the sun, but we got some beautiful shots. And in that series, I found one of the image that this hoopoe was flying vertically with this black background and white. So I found that interesting. And the next day, early morning, we went again. I went again and sat there very early in the morning with my tripod, and everything is fixed. And I wanted to get such kind of shots more.
Mm-hmm.
I did not even imagine in my in my head there was nothing like a vertical flying.
Mm-hmm.
So I went and sat there. The sun started slowly coming up, and suddenly, like, the bird was late that day. I don't know for what reason.
To give
I
you the
thought,
moment.
yeah, I thought she left the place, and but still, I was in the hope. I waited for some time, and gradually it came. It started picking up its food from the ground, and then it started flying upwards again.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the images, I found it directly flying up, and the moment I clicked, I know that it is some special image for me. That's it, and I stopped clicking. I took my camera, I checked the image, and I took a screenshot and I sent to you.
Yep. I
So
still remember that moment.
yeah, so it means like we know something good is happening there. We know that something great happened in that moment, and it's purely, I would say, like I was there in the perfect time, but I was blessed with something. Then I still say that Al Qudra had given me for what I was loving that
Yep.
place.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, so it happened this way.
One of the
And
things, one of the things
yes,
I
please.
love is that you turned this into a project. You decided to focus on this, and I think this is a really important element if people are going to get good photographs. They see something happening and they say, okay, I'm going to focus on that for several days until I get a really cool image. I mean, I'm sure when you first saw it, you didn't go, oh, I know the image I want, a backlit with half the tree and half the back this. I mean, you just don't do that. But I
Yeah.
know a lot of places I go, and the last time I was in Mara Trails, you know, I really wanted secretary. I saw these secretary birds and just focused on them. And then I saw these widow birds and I just focused on them. There may have been lions and things. And poor Philip must have been really bored because I go, no, we're staying here. We're staying here. Just want to get one good image here. I think that's really a good way to go about it.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean consistency, and you need to have a vision of what you want in your photograph. That is a important factor that we all have to keep in our mind. So this is the whole story about this picture.
So you know why did it win? And it's obvious, isn't it? The reason it won was because it is really artistic, and that's really important. It's got to be technically spot on, and I don't know what your depth of field here was, but you must have had an aperture of 2.8, 4, or something like that, because the trees out.
It was, yeah, it was in fact 5.6.
5.6. Okay.
Yeah, I had this 400 2.8 with me, and initially I was in 2.8, and I wanted to reduce my ISO because the light was very low, and that's the camera I was handling it for the first time. I don't know how much ISO it would handle, so I always wanted low ISO, but keeping that low ISO, I initially put the aperture to 2.8, but then when I saw that the light was coming up, I pumped it 5.6 so that I don't want to miss anything. And the shutter speed was around 3200, which was good enough for a flight.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it was not that fast flight of Hopu.
Yeah.
So the motion blur did not happen there, and I had enough depth between that tree and the bird, so the blur of the tree happened as well.
So the black part is the tree.
Black part is a tree.
And it comes straight through the middle of the bird, which
yes,
that is what it makes this picture so unique.
Yeah, a lot of.
And the other thing is that actually he's at a slight angle so that the light is coming through the feathers on both wings.
Yeah.
So if it had been direct, you know, if it had been directly behind, or if he'd been slightly to the left, he may not have got that reflection. He may not have got the coming through both the crest, the feathers, and the tail feathers. So
yeah,
exactly. The sun was on the left side of the tree, so I was expecting it to fly towards the sun, so that we, as always, any photographer want with the sun and all these things. So yeah, and I was about to say something, I forgot this.
But
many people confuse this image with they thought it's on the dunes.
Dunes. That was
the
first
shadow of the
impression too.
yes.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
But there's also a biological story here, because to see a hoopoe flying vertically is not easy, because they spend so much time on the ground, then they have this very fast flight when they go.
Yes.
So to get it going vertically and to get it with an insect in its mouth at that time, just perfection.
Yeah, that's you know, in 90% or 95% of the shots what we can see these days, or which I have seen in my so far career or so far life, it's true that you cannot replicate one image exactly like that, but we can create a lot of similar image. But to get something like this in a natural way, I don't think it is possible. I mean, the possibilities are like 0.0001 maybe to get another replication of this particular shot because of its uniqueness. The vertical, the tree coming on the one side and dunes on the other side, and this light and everything, including that bug in the beak, everything is so unique about this picture.
Absolutely right, Nisha. I couldn't agree. It is unique, and that's why it's a winning image. Because if you had a backlit lion roaring at dawn, it's been done 100 million.
100 times or 1,000 times or more than that.
Truly unique. And it's one of the reasons why it's really good to focus on birds, because you can get these unique images. You can, still some great bird photography we still need.
I mean, it once again, like Hermi mentioned in the beginning, the more time you spend with any species, you will learn more about them.
Exactly.
Hermes spent such time along with it. He saw the possibilities. He went there on the third time for this particular one. But in general, I think Al Qudra is being our ground. When I was in Dubai, like at least once a week was a regular visit for us in this particular location. I think we have done this before for Kestrel for a long time. Then we have done this for Indian roller for a long time. Every time we manage to follow a particular species for a longer time. From my experience or from our experience between me and Hermi, we always had some unique moment with that particular species. So the more you practice, it's always going to give you some unique moments.
So it covers the three elements because it's technically beautiful, because the bird's in focus, everything else isn't, and it captured, speed was enough. It's artistic, which makes it a winning image, but it also tells the whole story. I mean, when Hermis first showed me this image, my first thought was, I hate you, Hermis, how did you get it? My second thought was, wow, that's carrying the insect to the nest site. So I made the assumption it was going to the nest site.
Yeah. Or it's going to the nest, or it's going to share it with its partner. So there was a lot of room to think about it. Maybe it's just taking it already filled its tummy and taking it to sit somewhere else and have a bite. So if you are thinking, there is always a lot to think. And again, how on earth you manage to create this perfect symmetry in the image? So there was a lot of question mark when I saw this particular image, and I think I without stopping, I asked him at least few of them at that point. Just tell him.
Photoshop.
Yeah. How on earth you manage this?
So what about the processing? Was there any processing that you did here to accentuate that?
Nothing at all. Just I color correction I did. That's it.
Oh, wow. I thought you might have, put the white balance up to like 6,500.
White balance was always, I whenever I go out in the morning, I keep it 7,000.
Oh,
6,000 to 7,000. Yeah.
Amazing. Amazing.
One of the things I do is I take the shadows, reduce the shadows, and that brings out the black in the background. I think that's sometimes a good thing to do. But if you didn't do it, don't do it.
Amazing.
Okay, let's go to the next picture of backlight image.
Oh, this is one of mine, and this This is a deer in Sri Lanka. This was taken. And one of the things that I wanted to do with this image, so obviously I saw the deer, it's in velvet, it's sitting there, and I just thought I want to capture just the outline of the antlers there. Wanted to accentuate that. So I put it down several stops, probably maybe as much as -1 stop, but it's sitting in the shadows. And all I want you to really see is you realize it's a deer, but you're focused on the antlers. And there wasn't much post-processing. As I said, one of the things I did was I'll do the curve, make the curve S-shaped to make the blacks darker and the whites stronger. And then I just reduce the shadows a bit so that, and I think an important element in these is that we're not looking for detail. This is, you know, this is rim lighting. This is an image that really gives you a pattern as well. I don't think it tells you a story other than a deer hiding in the vegetation, but I think it's artistic.
Yep.
Beautiful light on the.
Yeah. On that.
Yeah. And next image, let's go.
Oh.
I mean, I love spending time with cubs, and I think I have spoke about this image for a bunch of times. But if you ask me what when I think about my favorite, this is one among them. You getting cubs just by themselves is one part of it. That's going to share the beauty, their innocence, and cubs being cubs, they can be curious and they can get closer to you. They can give you some funny moments, great expressions, the love, everything is there. But keeping the mother in somewhere in the frame will give you more connection to that image. I feel like, getting a cub by itself is going to be something like it can be even from a captive situation. But if you take a second look in this one, you can see the mother right behind the right behind the cub. So yeah,
It's
you need a
hiding.
second look. Yes, I was using an f2.8 over here, and it was an early morning. The cheetah is known as Imani, and this is one of her cubs which survived. And once again, the key over here is getting this light, the source of light right behind the subject, and at the same time the backdrop should be something darker as well. Otherwise, what happens if the sky is going to be the backdrop, then it's going to be a silhouette. So when you're taking backlit, there are many possibilities. You can take it as a silhouette depending on where you are capturing the image. Otherwise, if it is going to be a darker background, then there is a great possibility to get the rim. And now, if you think about the previous image, if you're going to, I have few images from this particular series where I have gone down with the exposure to all the way down to 5, and I only got the outline of the cub. So you could see the ears, you could see and everything else is black along with some tiny lines of this grass blade in the light. So you can think about rim light, you can think making everything black and just the outline, think about getting the details of the subject. So it's, like everything, photography is nothing but painting with light. So the more you understand about light, the more you visualize a frame in your mind, I think there is a lot of room, 1,000 ways you can picturize the same thing. And for me, when I'm thinking about early mornings, Hermi, if talk about keeping the light in a bit above 6,500, I usually keep it above 7,500, and he keep pulling me. You need to reduce it because it's too yellowish. Somehow I like that warmth in the early morning shots. So above 7,000, 8,000 is usually the range I play with till 7:30 in the morning. So key once again is keeping the sun, keeping the source of your light behind the subject. Sometimes it gives you a trouble in getting the focus. Then what I do is I try to focus on the golden threads around the subject. That helps to get the focus locked quite easily. And once again, Hebe mentioned about this too. The ISO can be a trouble at times. So to get the focus, I try to increase the ISO. Once I got the focus, I try to reduce it. Then I somehow enjoy more when it is only the outline. But this particular one, maybe because there was this cub, which was so irresistibly cute, I tried to get more details into the picture. So the story is, you see the mother, you see the cub, you see the light, so you know curiosity is there. There is a element of security from the mother, the curiosity from the cub, the story part and the art part and the technique part. If you guys want me to add anything else which I missed, PT.
So I think it's important not to worry about the detail within the animal. So we're going for the halo, we're going for the rim effect, we're going to see how that light comes through the animal's fur or through its feathers or whatever. So and doing backlighting for a cheetah cub is just perfect because they are so hairy, or they have a distinctive outline that you can really accentuate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, that makes sense. Yeah.
And again, if you have time, because these light in the early mornings, they change in every minute. So every minute is an opportunity to do different pictures, especially as I mentioned, in this particular occasion, I have done 10 different variations of light, going all the way down to 5 stops down and normal and then over, giving an extra exposure. So try to play with light, try to play with the Kelvin value. The same image can be a different experience if you are changing from 8,000 to 4,000 as Kelvin value. So whenever you have time and opportunity, play with light, play with the settings, understand your camera. That's the key.
I think you should start at like -1 stop anyway, if you're going to do it. So already start right down there and don't worry about going to -2 stops.
I mean, I've done beyond that too.
Yes, nice.
So
now we talk about why backlight photography. 3 elements which I have noticed is it creates a dramatic silhouettes. It enhances the mood and atmosphere of the image, and it showcases the contrast and texture of the image. So dramatic silhouettes, like any wildlife photographer or any wildlife lover usually loves silhouettes and taking silhouettes whenever, even when you are in the field early mornings or late evenings, everybody looks for creating an image against the light, against the sun, with the subject. So this backlight photography helps to create those dramatic silhouettes. And when it comes to mood and atmosphere, using the backlighting, it can infuse your photos with warm, ethereal glow, highlighting the details like the hair, as we see in that cup's picture. So that is something that we can do that enhances the mood and atmosphere of the picture. And as always, it showcases the contrast and texture of your subject. Let's go to the image. This I took from Masai Mara.
Wow.
And it was an early morning. The cheetah and the cubs were very playful. The cubs, when you are with the cheetah cubs and little grown up cubs, they always try to climb the tree. If you watch them going towards a tree, you can always go and position next to the tree. Be ready for your shot. 100%, or I can say 90% sure, those cubs will try to climb the tree, and they definitely will not climb down. They jump from the tree. So that is a very good opportunity to create frames. Any guide who takes you around, who have a good knowledge in photography, good knowledge in animal behavior, will help you to get this frame.
Yes.
This was actually exactly made from that instinct that we had. The moment we saw the mother, and there were three cubs, the moment we saw the mother and cubs were walking, we managed to find, like on the way, we found a tree. So we assumed that these cubs will definitely go for the tree. The mother will sit down next to the tree and watch out. During that time, the cubs will be playful. They will definitely climb the tree. So we assumed this will happen. We went, we waited in a safe distance so that we get the backlight, because front light during this time is not that great. Backlight would be great because your sky, the warm atmosphere, everything is good for a backlight shot. So we assumed and we waited, and then they came to the tree. They started climbing up the tree, climbing down the tree. Everything happened. We got some very good pictures. And as you can see, it is very hard to focus against the light. So we were focusing on the, I manually focused on the tree and kept my focus there, so that anyway the tree is focused. So that means anything coming down the tree would be focused. And if it's a stationary subject, we can always focus, but something that is moving, keep moving, it's very tough to focus. So this was the technique that I used here. I focused on the tree and kept it ready so that I don't miss the chance.
I love the ring lighting, or what Andy Rouse calls the ring of fire. So having an animal that's in the air, or you can get that ring of fire all the way around, is just, I think, fantastic. It's just a beautiful, because it's the outline of the animal.
Yep. Beautiful. And again, action and in rim light is always, double the visual feel.
Yeah.
Great image.
PT, your image.
So this is an image I took earlier this year when I was photographing black grouse in Finland. And the reason that I put it in is not so much about the backlighting coming through the feathers. So these are two male black grouse, they're on a lek and they're fighting. But one of the great things you can do with backlighting is you can accentuate the dust and the feathers, and in this case, the bits of grass that they've ripped up. So I took the image so that the animals are slightly to one side and you can see the dust and the grass. And with backlighting, it really accentuates it.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, one of my favorite image of Saba, the leopard known as Saba. I mean, I do have a bunch of lions as well as cheetahs when it comes to backlit. I think very occasionally I got leopard, and this was one among those special moments. What I like was more the outline, definitely, and I wanted a little bit of detail, so I play with the light. What I like in this particular picture, if you go on, it's a full frame, no cropping, nothing. And I love those grass blades in the
Yeah.
background. That was
Yeah.
something which I really liked when I was taking this particular picture. Once again, the complete, I really wish if I had a little more space after the tail. But if you ask me what really struck me, that was the grass blade. So every element in a picture play a certain role to enhance its beauty. When I say this, you may not feel the same because it's a smaller screen, but when you see it in the actual size and the way the light is playing on those tiny elements in a frame, you can understand how beautiful nature is and how beautiful it can be, how light enhance the beauty in any subject.
Yeah. At least you got like 2 pixels, the
Yep.
tail inside.
Yeah. I wish it was a little more. Now, when I saw this, I'm like, oh my God. But then she just moved, and I was having, I think, 400 or 600 in my hand at that point of time. And there were only a couple of images from this particular series before she went into the bushes. And this was definitely one of my favorite from that particular series.
That's one challenge with prime lenses always.
Yeah. Yeah, then you need to focus when the subject
Yeah,
get closer.
you
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 can think
you will
about this.
never have the freedom to compose any of your images until unless it's very far.
Yeah, and then the thing I try to do is when they get closer, I try to focus on, sometimes on the head. There are few images I focus only on the tail. So everything is an opportunity if you think in a different perspective.
Yeah,
But yeah,
Of course, what they say, Hermis, is if you're using a prime lens, then you should move to compose your shot.
yeah,
yeah. Places like Masai Mara,
yeah.
you don't have the opportunity.
Get out of
By the
there.
time you move, somebody else will take the spot.
And there will be people usually, in front of you and behind you and side. And yeah, it's not just Mara. I think most of the places which is known for wildlife photography these days will have a bunch of
Yeah.
viewers around the subject.
Yes. So now let's go to the slide of how to capture stunning backlight photos. These are the four points that I have noted down for capturing all you need to know for capturing a good backlight photo. First is position your subject, focus on the eyes, use spot metering, utilize golden hours. These are the things that I usually use to take care whenever I'm in the field. Positioning, like as we discussed, your subject has to be directly in front of the light source. So, but you can always move around and experiment side lighting or whatever it is, top lighting. Like a lot of pictures you have seen, some are top lighting and some are side lighting. So basically, the light has to be from behind the subject
Subject.
and focus on the eyes. Always, when it comes to wildlife, I always say the eyes has to be sharp. That's when you feel the connection between any subject. So sharp focus eyes is always better. And if you don't get to focus, if you are not able to focus on the eyes, because most of the time the eyes will be dark, so there will be the lines, the hairs that are glowing as a borderline of the subject. So try to focus there. 100% you will get enough focusing on that part of the body of the subject. So you can focus there also. And spot metering is used for avoiding like bright backlight. Most of the time, the main flow of backlighting is that when the sun is in the frame, it gets overexposed, or when the subject gets overexposed. So there are a lot of challenges that we will have to face when you try to do the settings for the correct exposure for backlight photos. So I generally use spot metering, which will help you to understand the correct exposure and utilize the golden hours, because golden hours has the diffused light. You will always get that diffused light in early mornings and late evenings. You always get warm diffused light, which will reduce the harsh shadows, and it also gives a golden glow to your image. Like Nisha said, like warm images will be uh, beautiful with the warm atmosphere in your picture. That happens only during these golden hours.
I think it's important to move all the time as well, so that if you're taking a couple of shots with the sun straight behind, move 20 degrees either side and you get quite a different type of shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, one step left or right can give you an entirely different perspective when it comes to light.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
That's when you should be doing it. And yeah, focusing on the eyes, focusing on the rim is really good thing to do. But don't worry about the detail in the animal, because you're after the rim shot, really. You're after the rim part.
So PT,
So
your
this is
image.
this is a langa, and the sun was just going down in Sri Lanka, and I realized this langa was running across, and I thought, well, if I can capture it in the air, I can do a full ring of fire. I can get the outline all the way round. So that's so as soon as I thought it was going to bounce in the air, I took it, and I really like that type of approach. I'm not interested in the detail, I'm interested in the shape. And it reminds me of Picasso, because if you look at some of Picasso's and some cartoonists, there are certain components of the shape of the animal, 2 or 3 lines that capture what that animal is. And you can see by the shape of its head, the length of its tail, this is a langa.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the perfect exposure, as you mentioned.
Yeah, this was captured in Masai Mara. Again, it was not right behind, as I told you. It was from the source of light was from the side, so it's basically side lighting as well. But again, during the golden hour, early morning, you go out, look for any subject you find. It doesn't have to be standing on the horizon, look waiting for the sun to rise up. You can find any subject, and the good part in Mara is like you will get a lot of grasses which glows when the
Yes.
light hits it. It like
Yeah.
literally golden glows you can find,
Yeah.
and a lot of times you will find misty also. The grass will have some dewdrops, and
Dewdrops.
all these things will add more drama to the story.
Absolutely. Look at the
Yeah,
vegetation, see how you
Yeah.
can bring it in.
yeah,
That's fantastic. Yeah.
Amazing.
So this is one of my I would say this was my favorite backlit shot I'd ever taken. And I got up very early one morning. So I'm down in the arid desert in Arizona. I got up early. I just thought I'm going to go in the hide. And I had a cup of coffee. I was just waking up. And one of the birds I was focusing on for the project was this bird, which of course is a roadrunner. And just as the first light hit, I realized that the roadrunner was sitting there just in front of me behind this bush, and it's warming itself. So it's fluffed up its feathers to get the heat of the sun on its back, because deserts go from being very cold to very hot. And it was just behind this bush. So yes, you capture some of the behavior of the birds, but once again, like your image, Hermis, and one of Nisha's, it's the vegetation that makes this picture as far as I'm concerned.
Yep.
And there's slight detail in the bird. So you see here it is, and you see that it's fluffed its feathers, but it's that bush that I love.
yeah.
I like the behavior of shaking its
Yes.
feathers, and that gives that,
Yeah. And they
you know,
can't, they don't have lots of feathers because they're running around in the very hot, 30, 40 degrees something. So just flushing it up to warm up before he gets going.
yeah, that again capture a glimpse of a behavior part.
Nisha, your image.
Once again, the very famous, the legendary Scarface. I was just thinking about a few moments with Scarface. I think I have a bunch of backlit shots when from this particular series. He was injured after a fight with a buffalo, so far I remember, and he was struggling to walk. But what I like once again over here, I tried to get that little bit of detail on his face to remind that this is Scarface. This is not just
Yeah,
a lion. So I
Yeah.
wanted that detail in the picture, and I wanted to show how the atmosphere is, how the ambience is, how big is the place, and then this particular fellow right over there taking all his charm. And once again, the golden glow on the grass blades, along with those tiny sparkling light on the mist. So everything can create that, or help you to create that drama or that dreamy feel into a backlit image, especially from early mornings.
yeah,
He once again was focusing on the rim, I mean, on the golden threaded edges, and get the exposure. It was again, when it comes to exposure compensation, it was slightly down, but it was not all the way down. So what do you want to show? To what extent you want to expose the detail of the subject is an important element. There are few images which I have gone all the way down to all stops, and in this particular case I wanted to show the audience that this is none other than a Scarface, so I wanted to have that touch in this picture.
Great.
I think you've done it beautifully, because as soon as you showed it, I jumped and got, it's Scarface. And that was the fact that I recognized him straight away. And the Rim of Fire, I think, is really good. And of course, he was one of the most successful lions that we've ever recorded in the Masai Mara. And he and his two brothers just gave a dynasty of cubs, and one of the most successful in terms of baby production, domination, just the lion.
The lion, yeah.
We had seen one of the son of Scarface looking literally like the shape of the hair and everything. But he's not that active as Scarface was naturally. But we have seen him.
The speciality of Scarface in certain images, you can see his mane exactly the shape of a heart. Yeah, that's very unique when it comes to Scarface. You don't see it in this particular picture, but I have few shots of him with the heart around his face.
I think you should do that with your hair and beard, Hermis,
The Scarface of Dubai. Yeah.
So the basic thing, your equipments, I would suggest camera, the lens with a lens hood to remove the flares, and tripod. Camera, I usually use the settings with manual. I don't know what you guys do during this. PT.
Yeah, I use manual, sometimes manual focus as well. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Same here.
Depends on the situation. But one of the great things about the Mara trails is that the drivers know how to do backlit photography, and you'll be photographing a leopard or something, and they'll go, let's go backlit, and they go round to backlit shot. And as soon as he's doing that, I'm changing all my camera settings ready, going down -1 stop, things like this, to be ready for it. But sometimes I'll take the lens hood off to try and get the flare. And I did that when I was doing the black grouse. I just thought, I'm going to try it without the lens and get some good flare in here. And that can give, can give some feeling to the image.
Yeah. So try to use always full manual control, because it allows you to adjust the exposure, focus, and other settings precisely, which is very crucial for backlighting. So I always use manual settings so that we have a control over our image, our exposure.
Yeah.
Lens with lens hood, as PT said, you can always experiment, but if you want to remove that lens flare effect, it's always suggested you put your lens with lens hood. Use the lens hood on your, and tripod. A sturdy tripod is always helpful for stabilizing your camera, and especially we are shooting in low light. So low light conditions, you always need a sturdy hand. And my image of that hoopoe, I used a tripod as well.
You have any suggestions on tripods, Hermis? Because sometimes they can be heavy, sometimes they can be wobbly. The head play a major role. So any suggestions on the equipment?
Suggestions like a decent carbon fiber. You get a lot of these days, whatever high-end tripods you get, carbon fiber. It's very lightweight, and the tripod head, like the gimbal head, is also very good. If you're using a prime lens, always use the gimbal head, which is very helpful.
So I think so I never use a tripod with a central with one of those center things that comes up and down. I just use it with a 3 link, because I find that can wobble a bit.
Yes.
But
That's
the
right.
tripod head is immensely important, and you've got to know exactly what you're changing. And
Yeah.
if you're expecting action and things, a Wembley head is that you can move and lock it at any sort of angle and shape is really good. If you're in the back of a vehicle, of course, you're just going to use a beanbag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think when it comes to safaris, more than a tripod, a bean bag will be more handy.
Yeah.
No,
So this
nothing.
is one of the pictures I got from Asaimara. Again, early morning. The sun was almost up, just above the horizon. So this female was going to a male. Then I got this shot.
Beautiful light.
But I think, with
Ah,
mirrorless cameras, I actually have my finger on the exposure compensation in these situations. So I'm just pushing that's not enough backlight, or that's too much, or I want the ring of fire, and then just experimenting with I just keep my thumb on that and taking several photos to see how it comes
yeah,
out.
that's what we are showing in the next frame, like the camera settings.
Yeah.
Basically, as any photography, these are the three things that you need to take care: shutter speed, ISO, and aperture. So shutter speed, you need to have a decent high shutter speed because especially taking wildlife or animals or birds, because they are always moving. You cannot predict. Sometimes the lion will be sitting, suddenly it get up and walk. So you don't want a motion blur in your picture, and that too you're waiting for a long time and getting a picture.
Yeah.
So I generally start my setting from 1/200th of a second, which I'm sure that I can handle and take a decent photo. But if it is moving fast, I keep increasing, and accordingly I have to adjust my ISO. Aperture is the last thing that I will consider. Aperture I usually keep in the early morning. I usually keep between 6.3 and 8. ISO is something that you need to always take care, because we are shooting this in a very low light condition. So there is a possibility of getting the grains in your picture, the noisy pictures, which you don't want. But still, these days you have a lot of softwares that can clear your grains from your picture, like the Topaz denoise tool and all these things.
Yeah.
So start your ISO with 100, and then based on your needs, you can increase the ISO and go up to 800 or 1000, which is good enough to get a very less noise. And aperture, as I told, f8 is that I will between 6.3 to 8 is good. And if this is I'm keeping this because sometimes you get the clouds in the sky, which if you are going for a wide picture of the subject and the habitat and the atmosphere you want to show, so if you increase the aperture number like f8 or f13, that getting that those clouds and all these the subjects, I mean the elements around the subject will help. That's why I keep the aperture high.
Yeah. I mean, my approach may be slightly different than what Hermi just shared. Normally, what I try to do is getting the focus, especially if the subject is moving during early mornings. Sometimes it is a trouble. What I do is initially I pump up the ISO. I normally use 7200 2.8 or 400 mm 2.8. So I start with 2.8, slightly increased ISO and shutter speed. So in that way, focusing initially will be easy, and once that focus part is done manually, then I play with reducing ISO to 100, increasing aperture depending on what I'm actually looking for in that particular picture, depending on the action. the
Yeah.
shutter speed. So that will be my process when I'm thinking about backlit.
I often start with my shutter speed at like 1,000th, just in case something is happening really fast. And I find that if I'm on 1,000th, I can quickly rack it up to 3,200. But if I'm down on 200, I've got such a long way to rack it that I find that, so I start at 1,000 and then knock it down, particularly if it's a portrait, I knock it down. But if I think something's going to happen, like a cheetah is going to suddenly break or something, at least I'm at 1,000th and I should get it without too much blur. But I can also just knock it a couple of points and get it up. And I think I decided that 7.1 is where I leave my camera before I pick it up, because then you can get the depth of field, but f8's just close enough.
Yeah, I usually go right opposite. I go with 2.8 to begin with, then I increase depending on the subject and the atmosphere and the result I kind of foresee in my frame. Yeah. And the Kelvin, that's another thing when we usually keep it like normally above 6,500. In my case, usually it's above 7,000 most of the time.
Or you can go for shade or cloudy.
Yeah.
So I took this photograph in British Columbia, and it's a fairly young grizzly bear that was diving in the sea in an estuary to grab crabs and things. But I went backlit straight away because I knew as soon as the bear came up, it was going to shake. And what I want is I want that necklace of water. So that's, it's not a great shot, and there are much better shots out there. But if you want to, but it's to remind me to tell you that if you want an animal shaking, you can get backlit, then you can capture all of the droplets. And that those I wanted to emphasize the sort of things like the dust and the droplets and the vegetation are all part of it, because it's not about the bear, but what the bear's doing.
Yep.
This was from Masaimara. So I mainly added this picture to show how it can go wrong also. Like you can see, I have got the subject and everything perfect. I have got the clouds in the picture perfect. But you can see that white patch behind the subject, where because of the exposure, I could not, it's like washed out. Yeah, you can see the rim light and everything settings slightly. I did some mistake, but yeah.
And the answer is that you're going to go for silhouette, like the lion shot next as well, and it's against the sun, so you're just going to go for silhouette. So just rack it down so that you could, it's about the sky then, even though in this instance, you know, the lions are in focus.
Yeah.
So this is again like during one of the early mornings. So I got one of this and one
the lion
next to the sun. Yeah.
I think it's good to go for the separation. I prefer the separation. So you've got the animal very distinct. And when I'm doing backlit, I'm always waiting for the separation. Come on, move, 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 move.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
This is our final tip. Keep practicing and try to take photos all the time. That's one line we always keep in our mind. Practice makes you perfect. So always keep practicing, and one day you'll definitely get the perfect shot that you are looking for.
We have a lot of muscle memory when we're using the camera, and you know, as soon as I go out, I take anything 20, 30 photographs, just taking photographs of anything until I find that my hands know exactly where all the buttons are, just on the case that a predator breaks out or something, and then I can do it. Because there's nothing worse than something happens and you go, oh, I didn't have my lens on, or I lost my aperture button or something. So just getting that muscle memory, so you're not even thinking. And you talk to professional photographers and you say, well, what did you do that? You know, what were the settings you put the camera on? I go, I don't know. I just knew that that was what to do. And that's the way it should be. It's just going to be automatic.
Yeah. The more you practice, the better you become. Yeah. And, the more time you spend with animals help you to understand their behavior. The more you understand the behavior, you will be able to predict the action to some extent. If there is 100% accuracy, then there is no fun. So there is a lot of possibility for you to dream, connect your dreams, connect the dots and see the frame and capture it. So key is, again, practice, 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 practice. Experiment, understand. Yeah.
I think you're totally right, Nisha. But there's also, somehow it feels right and artistically right, when the animal is like this and when it's like that, and when you've got a lot of the background or you're writing close. Always I'm looking for just what the artistic touch is, and no better image than yours, Hermis of the Hooper. That artistically is, number one, technically number one, storyline number one. That's why it's a winner.
That's a blessed moment.
Thank you, PT.
Sheer luck, of course.
Luck definitely play a role. Those images which you cannot reproduce until unless you try to capture something and put it in the line and do some nonsense. This is one image which is extremely hard to recreate. So that's the key in that particular image, Hermi, that is spectacular, out of the world.
But, he got it because he knew how to use, well, it was a new camera. He was trying out the new lens, but perseverance. He's there chasing that story down. I think I could get a better image. Let's try this. Let's try this. Oh, good heavens, I've done it. So it's experience, and it's been there, just being there. What are we doing talking? We should be out there photographing.
Absolutely. Looking forward to catch you all guys in Mara.
I'm going on Friday tomorrow. I have a workshop starting from 7.
I don't know. I don't want to know. Good luck. Good luck. All the best.
I'll be there 1 week. I'll be there having fun. I will remember all you guys.
This is called what? PT. Hermes going overboard.
Winding us up.
Yeah. All right.
So, yeah.
Do we have any questions, Hermi?
No, so far we don't have any questions.
That's great.
I think our answers were clear. I mean, the talk was very clear to the people.
That's great again. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
All right.
Yeah. So let's wait for the next webinar. We'll be updating.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay, then. Thanks to everyone who participated, who have heard us, and thank you, PT, Nish. Let's wind up today.
Yep.
See you.
See you.
See you.